Okay, Leah, tell everybody where you just came from. Very important appointment.
I just came straight from picking up my wedding dress.
That is so exciting.
Crazy.
And crazy and scary, all the things.
All the things. It doesn't feel real.
I cannot wait for everybody to see it. It's so beautiful. And it's so funny because anytime anyone says, okay, this is what I guess a lot of mother-in-laws to be or current mother-in-laws can identify with. If they're like, oh my gosh, I heard Connor's getting married. Okay, tell me the truth. Do you like her? Like, that is the norm. It's so funny that people, say that. And that's the thing, I guess, because notoriously mother and daughter-in-law relationships, they get a bad rap.
Yeah.
I don't see what's so bad. Do you?
Yeah. Well, I just want to know what you say. But no, I don't understand. Genuinely.
I say, and the reason I'm so excited to do this podcast episode is I say she is precious and we love her. And she is great for Connor. That is my people that know me and that I've given that answer nod their head right now. Yes, that's what she says.
That's really sweet.
We're super thankful for you. And I think you're my most requested podcast guest. Everyone's like, do an episode with Leah so we can learn more about her. Have Connor and Leah on. And I wasn't about to ask Connor again because he was on a recent episode.
Sure.
So plus we can make him nervous, right?
Oh, for sure. He's so nervous. I told you before, but he was like, I don't even want to listen. I don't know what you're going to say. Like, you and my mom get so weird together.
What does that mean? I kind of know what it means because we do get really silly. And even Cooper, who was recording the podcast, he goes, I'm going to have to listen to y'all giggle for an hour. Like, what? Yeah.
He always likes to say that we're absurd. So
absurd. That's our word.
Yeah.
Anytime we do something that's fun or silly, he goes, y'all are so absurd.
Yeah.
So, which really means he loves it.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think in general, I think it's important to him that our relationship be a good one.
Yes.
Which is special because I think it did mean a lot to him that our whole family, and everybody other than Cooper really likes you. So.
Oh, for sure. Still warming up to Cooper. He's sitting over here smiling, so I think that's a good sign.
I don't think he's ever going to admit it, but I think he's kind of excited. There's going to be another girl other than his mom to annoy him in the family.
He's always wanted a sister.
Okay, so if you're listening now, we are going to get to the how Connor and Leah met. We're going to get into a few wedding details, but right now we're going to focus on just getting to know Leah and knowing a little bit more about her. So interestingly enough, you guys met in California, but you grew up in North Carolina.
Yes.
And it's another thing that was important to Connor is he's like, Mom, before I met you, he's like, I'm so worried that you're going to think that she's just some kind of California, bikini surfer girl, and you're not gonna go in with an open mind. I'm telling you, she's not. She loves Jesus, which is most important, and she's a Southern girl. I promise you, she's very Southern, which kind of made me laugh at the time. But yeah, I mean, I'm gonna admit, have I told you this before? Your contact in my phone says Leah Thompson. It has a photo of you, but it says surfer girl for your job.
No, well, I had no idea.
I did not think that you were going to be a contact in my phone for a long time.
Wait, that's funny.
I know.
It still says that?
It still says that.
Okay, you need to change it to daughter-in-law.
Oh, I guess I could, but it kind of reminds me of, I judged you a little in the beginning.
Oh, for sure.
Some California girl.
Well, I remember when Connor would FaceTime you, when he would be in California, and I would just be nervous because I would just be nervous to meet you in person. I hadn't met you yet. And I remember saying something to Connor being like, do you think your mom's going to like me? Or just whatever. And he had mentioned something that he was like, I think she thinks that you're a California girl, but as soon as she meets you, she'll realize that you're more Southern than she knows, whatever. And so when I met you in Red Rocks, I think you kind of got to see a little bit more.
So we'll tell that story quickly, but you guys had been dating, I'm not sure how long. Was it official or not official? Surely it wasn't official before I met you, was it?
No, I think it was, yeah.
You were? Okay.
Wait, your birthday's August 13th?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, August 13th, and we started dating August 5th.
Oh, yeah, that's your anniversary. Okay, so it was going to be a thing. Yeah, that's true. Okay, got it. So Connor he was on tour with Thomas Rhett. He was going to get to play Red Rocks, which is a really big deal for an artist. And, of course, our entire family went. It happened to be the weekend of my birthday, which made it the ultimate birthday gift to have my whole family out there. We took several friends. We rented one big house, and we all did the Red Rocks weekend together. So that had been planned for a while. The week before, Connor says, or maybe just a few days before, it wasn't very long, was it?
No.
He's like, Mom, Leah really wants to meet you. So she's going to fly out to Red Rocks. But is that okay? Like, are you good with that? And I was like, she doesn't want to meet me. She just wants to see you. You know, he's like, no, really. Like, I think that her whole
for sure.
reason is to meet you. And what he said was, he's like, you know, I really respect her because she said to me, if this is going to be a thing, it's really important to me to meet your family and that I get to know your family. Tell me a little bit about like your side of that and what you were thinking.
Oh, well, I mean, just what you said. I think that like I'm so close with my family and they mean so much to me. Like just family's such a big part of everybody in general, and even like making Connor who he is. Y'all have like shaped him in a lot of ways into the man that he is, and I'm so grateful for that. But I've just like always, like even the stigma that you were talking about around mother-in-law, daughter-in-law, like I've just never like wanted to accept that. And thankfully,
you're like, wait, I need to know what I'm getting myself into here.
Exactly, all the things. And anyway, so of course I wanted to meet you guys and just get to know who you were. And yeah, it went great. Flew in, got in the car, I remember, and like
all you had girlfriends with me.
Exactly, like 4 of your friends, and they all had 3 questions each to ask me.
They were joking the whole trip up, you know, like what they could do to intimidate you or to be funny, or they were trying to get me to ask you things, or, you know, we're going to see if she can pass the test.
Yeah.
So they all meet you when I met you, which has been really fun because that they're all so excited about the wedding and so all the things because they feel like they were there from the beginning.
Yeah.
But I can't remember anything that they asked you. But
what was your first question that you asked me?
Do you remember?
Yes, of course I remember.
It's a big one.
Yeah.
So it wasn't the first question.
Okay.
However, while we're out in beautiful Colorado, is this the question you're referring to?
Yeah, I think so.
I admittedly have never been to Wilmington, North Carolina, Wrightsville Beach. That's where Leah grew up, and we'll talk about a little bit about her lifestyle, which is really unique from growing up there. But I had never been there, and so why I asked her this question and how I worded it, I don't know, but we laugh about it all the time now. I'm driving a minivan in Colorado. She's in there, and all my girlfriends are in there, and I say to Leah, what is the topography like in North Carolina? And
everybody started laughing. They were like, what?
Did you just use the word topography?
Yeah.
But I meant, is it flat? Is it rolling? Like, I didn't know what it was like.
Yeah.
So it was a legitimate question, and then they made fun of me.
I get it.
But that was a really special weekend. You were only gonna stay one night. Connor and the bus left directly from Red Rocks to go to their next tour stop. You extended your trip because you liked hanging out with all of us so much.
I did. Actually, that's also the first time that Connor said, I love you. He accidentally said it.
What?
And then he excused it, and he was like, oh, I meant to say that to my mom.
Wait, I've never heard that story.
Really?
Where were y'all?
It was right after the show, and I was getting in the car with you guys, and Connor was like saying bye, and he gave me a hug. We were only a week into dating, and he was like, bye, I love you. And he was like, oh, I meant to say that to mom.
Do y'all make that? Do y'all say that's the first time?
No, it was like a couple days later.
Okay.
He said it actually.
Okay. Now you
so very early on.
You say that you were a week into dating, but you guys have been hanging out like text relationship. He kind of came up with all these random excuses why he had to go to California for work, and you know we're picking up on the pattern really, really quickly. So, and I think the second time he saw you when he was out there. I remember it so vividly. He came in the door. He was exhausted, drops the suitcase, and he crashes into that leather chair that's sitting right there. And he is like, Mom, I got a problem. And he basically told me that he thought he was in love with you. So that's when I was like, oh, wow. And I probably should have changed the contact from Surfer Girl then because it was going to stick, but it's still in there.
Yeah. Okay, wait. Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
When was it that you knew, oh, Connor like might marry this girl?
Well, there's some things I don't like to admit to you. However, I will say that after the first weekend of meeting you, I was like, she's really special and he better not screw this up.
Aww.
So I think I knew early on that with some effort that your personalities and the things that you have in common at your core were really important for a lasting relationship. And so I felt like, okay, if he didn't mess this up, then...
That's really sweet.
Yeah. I know these are things I don't admit to you, right?
I know. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I feel like I knew early on. Now, I didn't know that we would, a year later, be, putting grandma's ring on your finger.
Oh, yeah.
So that took some, like, okay. And I never had negative feelings toward it. I mean, it was definitely like, oh my goodness, they're so young.
Yeah.
However, as Connor loves to remind me, I got married at 23.
Oh, for sure. Same timelines.
Yeah, it's a very similar timeline. Did not have a long engagement, similar timeline. We are maybe 2.5 months.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know how many days. I thought about downloading one of those timelines on my phone where it tells you how many days, but I think that would totally stress me out.
Yeah.
So I don't even have a dress yet.
Yeah.
So.
Are we allowed to say what you were trying to buy me the other day?
I mean, you might as well, right? My listeners know me well.
Yeah. Well, we went shopping the other day looking for a dress and just looking for anything, and I walked up the escalator and she's standing by the lingerie and she's saying, pick out whatever you want. And I was like, Connor would tell me to go change if you got me lingerie.
That would be so creepy. I was laughing, but I tried to, as you do with me, I was trying to be serious though. I was like, you know what? I don't get to come to your lingerie shower because you're having it with your bachelorette, party, whatever. I'm like, I don't get to come to your lingerie shower, so let me buy it for you now. Just pick out whatever you want. But then, let's be real, I was holding up like Snoopy pajamas and like long,
for sure,
long furry Ugg robes and, stuff that Connor would love this.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah. So, if that doesn't tell you a little bit about our relationship, then, anyway. But we did hit it off. It has been, so much fun. It's fun for me to have a girl around. Yeah. My goodness, that has been really, really fun. Okay, we're going back to you growing up in North Carolina. Okay. We'll hit some more of that later. Yeah. Okay, so North Carolina, you grew up in a beach town, and your earliest memories are probably with your dad surfing in the water, aren't they?
Yeah.
How old were you when you were on a surfboard?
I honestly can't even remember. There's a picture. I don't know if this was my earliest memory or what, but seeing it in pictures, I was wearing this polka dotted bikini and probably like 4 or 5 when my dad started like pushing me into waves. But pretty much as soon as I could walk, I think he had me in the water, at least just paddling around. So,
was that a hobby for him, or did he do it professionally, or not professionally, but competitively?
Mainly a hobby. I think he competed a little bit. But when I started competing, he would compete with me to make me feel more comfortable, and then kind of full-time came more my thing, and so he was more of the support behind it.
Yeah, your biggest cheerleader, I guess. Yeah. So you start surfing at a young age. When do you remember your first competition being?
I think in like 6th grade. So I guess that's 12 or something. I did competitive gymnastics for a long time. And then when
Did you travel doing competitive gymnastics?
Not far, but around North Carolina, like South Carolina. But really got into surfing, I think summer before 6th grade, like competing and stuff and a little bit more traveling. And then as soon as I started competing, I kind of stopped gymnastics and went full on surfing. Did
it come easy to you, or did you just work super hard at it to be good at it?
Both. I think gymnastics and like the balance, flexibility, all of that really helped. And then I was around the water my whole life. But then when I started competing and I like lost a couple times, I'm very competitive, as you can tell.
I've played Nerds.
Yes, exactly.
Which is a card game. If you haven't ever played Nerds, look it up. It's fun. But girlfriend is competitive. Let me tell you, I can play a couple and lose and be like, okay, I'm good. And she's like, no, Connor, get back over here.
For sure. So with my competitive nature, I definitely push myself. My dad's very competitive, and growing up, we were like kind of competitive with each other in surfing. So honestly, I think he instilled a lot of it in me in a good way, because it definitely pushed me and just made me want to work at it. So
yeah. What's the furthest you ever traveled for a competition?
I think Barbados. Okay. For a contest.
And then how long were you able to maintain, because it really kind of became your life, and how long were you able to maintain like normal school and all of that before you ended up homeschooling. You were more independent, I guess, learning while you balanced this.
Yes, yeah.
All these opportunities that were coming your way because of surfing.
Yeah. Throughout middle school, I would travel like all up and down the East Coast to compete. And I would go on weekends. My parents would drive me like to Florida for the weekend, drive back for school, all the things. And then freshman year of high school, I remember I begged my parents to be homeschooled all summer, and they kept saying no. I was fully enrolled in high school, and 10 days before it started, my parents like finally said I could do online school to travel and compete. And so yeah, that's when I went full-time surfing and had to get my schoolwork done, and mainly like packed it out in the beginning of the week. And I surfed a ton. There were days I'd surf like 7-8 hours a day. It was crazy. But
what kind of opportunities were coming to you then at that age doing that either you had to turn down because you were 14, 15 years old, or that came your way that you were able to take advantage of?
Yeah. Surfing honestly brought me so much. I was talking to Connor about it the other day. It's just crazy how I feel like the Lord's totally ordained all the steps, even how I'm still using connections from surfing today, like with what I'm doing is wild. But when I was 14, I signed a 2-year contract with Sea Folly, and their swimwear brand out of Australia, and that kind of led into Rip Curl, and I ended up signing with them when I was 15. So
with Rip Curl? Okay.
I don't know if is that a freshman or sophomore?
Probably sophomore, yeah. Maybe somewhere between there because you're about to drive.
Yeah. So ended up signing with Rip Curl at 15. And then last year was my first year without Rip Curl.
So you've been with them from the time you were basically 15 to 22 of working with them. And when we say signed with Rip Curl, what were you signed to do?
Yeah. In the beginning, it was like competing. I started doing modeling stuff with them when I was 15. And honestly, that was a God story how it all happened in the first place, because I surfed for them before actually signing a contract with them. But the timing of how it lined up, I had like gone to get product from the warehouse, and it happened to be that they were having like the global women's meeting at the exact same time that I had scheduled to go there. And the head of the women's department walked out of the meeting and was like, oh my gosh, like you have to come meet these people. And so I walked in this room with my mom, and I was like 14 at the time, and got to meet all these Australian people, and they like asked me the next week to do my first shoot with them.
Oh, wow.
And so signed right after that, and yeah.
That's crazy.
Just kind of went from there.
So you would surf with a Rip Curl board, for example, wear Rip Curl bathing suits.
I was fully exclusive with Rip Curl. I
So
couldn't do anything else with anybody else. And surfing, modeling stuff.
Up until this last year. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
What did it mean for you to have your mom's support? I know she traveled with you literally around the world.
Oh, for sure.
While you were having all of these opportunities, which Leah is blessed with the most precious mother. She is Leah in grown-up adult. Well, not that you're not an adult, but she's Leah in mom form, okay? And one of the biggest blessings of gaining Leah as a daughter-in-law is her family.
Aww.
Because they're so precious. And her mom and I are, you think we're like absurd. When Maria and I are together, we have the most fun. And we get to roll our eyes. And Connor and Leah know nothing about our side texts that we have going on. Which is really fun. Because we're also, what's the name of our group text?
Got it from our mamas.
And who's in it?
Me, Connor, Jennifer, and my mom.
That's right.
Mama J.
Yeah, Mama J.
Mama JJ.
Yeah. Just Mama J would be great. Yeah. So yeah, we're in the got it from our mama's group text. So, which there's a lot of wedding conversation going on right now. I had asked you what it meant to have your mother's support, like traveling. She went everywhere with you. Like, what's an example of somewhere that y'all got to go together?
Yeah. We went to Australia, the Maldives, like just all over the place. We went to Europe, all over Europe. And she didn't start out traveling with me everywhere. I kind of went a few places by myself and then had a really sketchy experience.
Really?
And so they actually put it in my contract that my mom had to go everywhere with me.
So does that mean they would pay for her too if it was contractual?
Yeah. Wow. Which was pretty crazy. And it was a major blessing, like looking back on some of the things we've been able to do together. But yeah, crazy.
That's pretty special. So tell me how in the world you ended up living in California, which is where you met Connor, and you had been there for about 3 years. What was the opportunity presented that you went ahead and made the move literally across the country?
That's a whole nother God story, but I was...
A lot of God moments.
Oh, for sure.
Track 12 on Smoky Mountains.
Yep, shout out. I was obviously born and raised in North Carolina, and when I was about 18, just shortly after I turned 18, I had gone through this stuff and started praying, and I was just like, Lord, I really need you to show up, and ended up moving to California in faith, this whole story, but condensed, got there, started working with Rip Curl out there, traveling from there, doing all the things. And
so if you guys follow our Instagram or watch these episodes on YouTube, you have met Tucker, our golden retriever who greets the podcast guests whenever they come over. Unfortunately, my little wild man loves to run through the woods on our property, and naturally he gets a little dirty, which means he doesn't smell great. Fortunately, I can sprinkle Coat Defense's daily preventative powder on Tucker. It's like a dry shampoo that almost acts like a repellent for dirt. Since we started using this, Tucker stays so much cleaner. He hardly ever scratches anymore, and we don't have to bathe him as often, which is good news for us and even better news for Tucker. We do love this product, and you can try it on your dog or your cat, even your horse, by visiting coatdefense.com. Be sure to use the code MAMA15 for 15% off. You guys know that I am obsessed with my bare face skincare routine, and the best part is so many of you are loving these products too. I love hearing from you and sharing my favorites like the toning pads and the liquid gold vitamin C serum that really has changed my complexion. Barefaced is results-driven medical grade skincare, and I love that you can text a skincare specialist for a complimentary consult to get started on the best routine for your skin type. You can also take their AI skin quiz at barefaced.com from the comfort of your phone to quickly find your personalized skincare routine. I've put the text number in the show notes, and Barefaced, as always, is offering Got It From My Mama listeners 15% off your first purchase by using the code MAMA15 at checkout. Just visit barefaced.com to learn more. But let me back up. Did you ever have a plan to go to college?
I guess so.
Like to take a traditional path? Do you remember visiting campuses and stuff?
I never visited campuses.
Okay.
Throughout high school, I knew I was going to pursue surfing because I was with Rip Curl too, and I knew that I couldn't. I mean, before doing the free surfing, more modeling side of things, I wanted to be on the world tour and like do full-on competitive surfing.
Wow.
But I didn't really think that the free surfing modeling side of it would be an opportunity. Opportunity presented itself for me to travel and do the more like photo shoot side of things and just get to surf in all these cool places versus traveling to compete all over the place, which is like, it takes such a specific personality to be able to do that. And Connor has it with all the traveling he does for music and everything. But yeah, it's a lot.
How
like traveling
is that training schedule and everything too?
It's insane. I have so much respect for everybody who does it, and I just had like some of my best friends made tour this year, which is really exciting. Some of the girls I like grew up surfing with, but yeah, like traveling to Australia, staying for a month, competing throughout the month, and then going to like Europe and just all over the world, Bali and all over the place. Wow. And just competing and having to be on the different time zones, and also just the pressure of competition and performance. And they just like changed the whole tour thing of the qualifying, like cutoff rank and all the things. It's just a lot. So
do you ever see yourself doing a contest again?
I would definitely do a contest. I would love for Connor to be at one just to see, because it is so different than, I don't know, just kind of anything.
You were going to say you would love for Connor to be in a contest with you.
Oh, I would. Yeah, we should do a tandem contest.
I'm not so sure. He did on his senior trip, winterim experience, go to Costa Rica and took a day worth of surfing lessons.
I've taken Connor surfing a couple of times, and honestly, he's done really good.
Really? But yeah, I would think that, you know, it almost feels like it was your life before Connor.
Yeah.
And so that it would be important for him to kind of get to experience or see that side of, you know, what you did. So you, at some point, end up doing an actual internship where you learn about the swimwear, the backside, right? Behind the scenes of what swimwear is. I would guess that has something to do with the inspiration for what your next venture is.
Yes. So the last year with Rip Curl, I ended up doing a swimwear design internship with them, where I got to learn from their designers just what goes on behind the scenes. And I'd been talking to them like about it for a while and telling them that I've always like wanted to get into the design side of things. And so they were like, why don't you just come in and like learn from us? And so I got to sit in on like all the meetings with the manufacturers and the fabric vendors and all the things, and see how they used just like all the softwares. And I don't know, it was really cool. I definitely learned a lot, and it kind of solidified my dream of wanting to have my own line one day.
Was there ever talk of a Leah Thompson line?
There was talk of it. It never fully happened, but there was talk of it.
Yeah, which may be, you know, for the good, because,
exactly,
you know,
yeah.
I'm sure if you did that under a big brand,
yes, yeah.
it would be very different than, you know, what you did then. Before we talk about what your next venture is, I want to talk a little bit about, at some point while you're in California, which shout out to your mom. I've talked to her about that, and I'm like, how did you I mean, you were 18, maybe even 17 though, when you were planning and, you know, the whole thing. How did you handle, I guess, you know, your baby girl moving across the country, all of the unknowns, the ways that, you know, us as moms worry about things.
Yeah.
And I just remember her saying, Jennifer, it was so evident that that's where God was that God wanted her and had planned for her to be, that it made it so much easier for her dad and I to say yes and to support and be like, okay, let's do it. Not that it wasn't extremely hard on her and for you to be away from your family. Yeah. But she said that God's hand was so evident. But at some point while you're there, you start developing relationships. You end up making a big decision with all the other things that you had going on to go to a Bible college out there.
Yeah. I did 1 year of a Bible program, college, all the things. It felt like an internship. Everything just got thrown into behind the scenes of the whole church, but at Oceans Church in Irvine, California. And it completely changed my life. Around the beginning of Connor and I's relationship, I started the college in the beginning of our relationship, but every time we hung out one-on-one in the beginning was around like a worship morning or just at church or all the things. And it was really crazy. There's so many stories throughout the 3 years of me living in California where God's hand was just on everything. And I think even more of a reason than surfing, like God had me in California those 3 years to just prepare me for everything that's ahead. And even in this relationship, heading into marriage, like that 1 year Bible college, I feel like just prepped my heart in so many ways that I'm going to pull from like throughout our marriage. And yeah, it's like crazy. I don't know, when you were asking about just like the traveling, and I was thinking back, I feel like that's even something that I pull from with Connor, of like he gets so drained of being on the road and all the different travel that he's on. It's like I kind of understand him in a way from what I previously did. And
I think that's one of the reasons that I feel like you guys have been so compatible, because it is a really, really difficult thing to have a relationship as a touring musician, a touring anything. In his situation, a touring musician, but somebody who gets it and understands. And, you know, you never want people to think that like you dread it or you don't want to do it or whatever, because every opportunity and trip is a privilege, but it's so draining, you know, that side of it. And for you to kind of get that. And then, you know, another one of the things I think that is so cool is you've always had your own thing going on. You've been in the spotlight yourself with what you do. You get the pressures of management and agents and people pulling at you and needing things and having expectations of you. And that's not something that just anybody can understand either. And you also have an extremely beautiful self-confidence in you, to where I never got the sense while you guys were dating or have been in this relationship that you were dependent on Connor to provide this, or this. That your identity was so strong in who you were and whose you were.
That's sweet.
That it was a real benefit that you were able just to really enjoy each other and what you bring to the relationship.
That's really sweet.
Yeah, I kind of like you.
Gosh, I need to do this more often.
I know, we need to do deep talks with Leah and Jennifer. But the interesting thing I think about, if I say when y'all are first dating, they're like, oh, what does she do? Oh, well, she's surfer girl. See my phone? And she works with Rip Curl, but she also goes to Bible college. And so everyone inevitably would say, what does she want to do with that? Does she want to go to seminary? Does she want to?
Yeah.
But am I right that your desire to go to Bible college was because you truly had this hunger and desire to know more about the Lord? It wasn't that you planned to take that degree per se, certificate, whatever it would be, and do the next thing.
Oh, 100%. Everybody would ask me that question too, like, what are you going to do with it?
Yeah.
And it was never for the degree, which I could take it one day and go further, who knows? But it was definitely more just to know more and like biblically just understand. And it just makes me think back to like the diamond on my hand, my grandma. She was one of the most influential women in my whole life. And I just think back to it all the time and have so many of her old journals and just things that she planted in me as a little girl that I just aspire to be as a mom one day, as a grandma, all the things. And I don't know, it's just cool to see like all of it kind of tie together.
Yeah, so that's really special.
Yeah.
So you certainly have the background with Rip Curl and Sea Folly and all of the things, these big name brands and stuff. You did the internship, you learned behind the scenes, and it just kind of fueled a fire in you. And I think it's interesting. You've got a little bit of an entrepreneurial spirit about you that, like I always say, I don't really have that. So that's one of the reasons that this podcast was so out of the box, because this is a business at the end of the day.
100.
So I've had to learn so much. But I've never just started something like on my own or whatever. But Leah is launching, very, very close to launching. As a matter of fact, I believe the down payment went down for the manufacturing, which means multitudes of swimwear under Legacy, the label, are being made. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's such a big deal and a lot of work and dreaming and everything behind it. So tell me about kind of how it started. Was this already underway when you met Connor?
Yes. Honestly, it was like the second day that we were hanging out where I showed him like this whole spreadsheet of a dream that I had for this brand.
Were they sketches and branding and colors?
Just all like a bunch of mood board pictures and little things that I've just wrote like dreaming into the brand. And I showed it to him sitting in my living room in California, and I just remember him being like very intrigued by it and instantly just believing in it, not even knowing just the full story of how much I had already prayed into the brand and all the things. Ever since I was a little girl, even before I really got into surfing, I wanted to do design bathing suits and maybe clothes one day. I just always had kind of a draw to that, and I think that roots back down to my grandma as well, because she taught me how to sew, and we used to sew blankets and pillows and all this stuff. But then when I started surfing all the things, I would actually like cut apart my bathing suits and re-sew them to make new ones.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it goes back a long time ago. I would sketch things in journals and then just kind of started dreaming, praying into it. And I really feel like the Lord gave me vision for this brand. And so, Connor and I started dating, and I almost moved forward a couple of times with some other people helping me, and just didn't really have peace about things. So I held off for a little bit. And then this past summer went down to Miami Swim Week and found a manufacturer, and now moving forward with them in Columbia.
And you just went to Columbia, the country, to kind of meet with the people that are actually going to be doing all. You picked out like the hardware, the clasps, the things you don't even think about. I think one of the designs has a belt. Like you had to think about like what some of those things. What was that like?
Surreal, for one. It's wild to feel the actual samples because I've dreamed about it for so long. It's wild to have something physical in my hand. It was crazy, like getting to meet them face to face. One thing that's really cool, I don't think I've actually told you this, but about the manufacturer that I found out is that all their employees, the people that are actually producing, making the suits, it's women that are like, which is wives and single mothers that their husbands have left. So they're trying to provide for their kids. And so they train them and teach them how to make these bathing suits, and that's who's making them. So that was really cool to learn. I didn't know that until I went down there. And
think about the good that you're doing, like in helping to provide work for those women. That's awesome.
Yeah. So that was awesome. And it was nice to be able to try them on. And since there is a little bit of a language barrier, be able to point to things and get it fixed exactly where it needs to be.
So what's the next big step?
Next big step is I get the final production samples in at the end of February, and I need to do like a final photo shoot to be able to start getting all the things ready to full on launch. Yeah. Like a week after the wedding.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So here you guys are in the middle of the launch of Legacy, the label, the swimwear line, the wedding. Y'all just bought a house. Like some of the things
Connor's album.
Yeah, Connor's album, certainly.
All the things.
All the things that at the same time is a lot.
Oh, so, for sure. Yeah. I was talking to a friend of mine, Kinsey, the other day, and she was just like, you and Connor have so much going on. I don't even know if you guys realize, but y'all are doing things all at once that people do over the course of a lifetime.
It's so true.
And I just took a minute and I was like, gosh, I kind of had felt myself starting to get overwhelmed too. And when she said that, I was like, okay, maybe that's why. Just like putting things into perspective. But
what are the things in your life that when you do get overwhelmed, and you guys, you know, already do and certainly will in marriage and all of that, but how do you bring peace to a typical day for yourself?
Definitely starting the morning off with the Lord.
Are you a journaler?
Love journaling. Me and Connor both are big journalers.
Big journalers.
Big journalers. So definitely wake up, coffee, read, pray, journal, worship.
She's a little bit of a coffee snob. We'll have like coffee here in the morning and she'll be like, oh, I think I'm going to run down to whatever bougie coffee shop.
Oh, no.
And yeah.
I'm not a bougie coffee drinker other than the Keurig. They just like, it's kind of like watery. It's a little bit, I like strong coffee.
Yeah. You're not going to find that at my house.
Yeah, I know. You like it a little weak.
I'm a wimpy coffee drinker, and I've hit a lot. Milky. I have a little coffee with my cream. I'm so proud of you. It's been really fun to learn about, like, I think your whole world of surfing and the bathing suits and like that's so foreign to me that it's just like really fun. But I just respect you so much for the work that you're doing, the effort you're putting in, the launch, being so young and business savvy and smart and just like all the things.
That's really sweet. Okay, well, pause and let me just answer back to that. You inspire me so much with everything you're doing with the podcast and just who you are as a mom and wife, all the things, and just how you've raised Cooper and Connor. And I just like look at Connor so much and how he treats me. I'm like, he treats me this way because Jennifer's like held him to this standard of how to treat women. And
well, he's also seen his dad be an incredible dad and husband. And that's one of the greatest gifts probably that my boys have received is the gift of a dad who's modeled, you know.
Yeah.
So, so there's certain things we need to get Connor to that his dad needs to talk to him about once you're married. So he needs to bring you your coffee in the morning.
Yes.
So make sure that y'all don't have a Keurig. And then he needs to put gas in your car.
Yes.
For you.
Oh, whoops. Connor.
Yeah.
Do you hear that?
Yes. Connor, you need to put gas in her car when you drive her car. Like bring it back full. Like you're like when I get in my car.
Who told you this story?
Well, I saw you post about it on Instagram the other day.
I have to tell you the full story later.
Yeah, there's probably like a whole story, but no, I mean, I could tell you 3 stories of Connor as a teenager running out of gas
for sure,
that are like crazy. One of them, he cost his best buddy Ben Pierce a homecoming date on because he ran out of gas on the way to take Ben to ask a girl, and because they ran out of gas, another guy beat him to it that night. And there's consequences.
Yeah.
What is Connor's most annoying trait or habit?
I mean, right off that comment about the gas, maybe that he runs it way past E.
Yeah.
In his car, my car, anybody's car, he just doesn't seem to care, and it stresses me out.
That's a good one. What do you worry about, like, when y'all actually live together, like, of a habit of his that you've already picked up on?
This might go back to you and the laundry.
Oh.
He's not good at picking up his clothes.
They're on the floor, right?
Or anything. Yeah. Just his room is
messy, constantly
a wreck.
Do you think it's because he's on the road all the time, or do you think that's just probably Connor? Because I know the answer.
I would like to say that it's because he's on the road, but I think it's because he's Connor.
Cooper is over there letting you know. Too bad. It is not due to his hectic schedule.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. What wedding details can we share? What's the most common questions you get about the wedding?
Yeah. What colors decided on bridesmaid dresses, and they are a like pale, pretty yellow.
So pretty.
Yes,
yeah.
Jennifer approves. Yeah, that changed like a couple times of what I was wanting to do.
Which is funny. Yellow is a color I cannot wear. Being like blonde and just kind of fair.
Like yellow is so you though. You're so sunshine.
I love it. And I was so excited when you were going to use it though, because I love yellow.
Yeah.
And I think that if you think about it, you got a lot of dark-headed friends too. So
I do.
They're all going to look so stunning in those pretty yellow dresses.
It'll be good.
Yeah, getting married in Wilmington. And tell me kind of the story behind a place that you're getting married somewhere that you've kind of always hoped to.
Yes. So we're getting married at the Lebanon Chapel in Airlie Gardens, and I grew up all through elementary school on Airlie Road right across from the gardens. And so they would do summer concerts. They would dress up the gardens around Christmas with all the lights, all the things. And we just spent a lot of time over there. Where we kept the boat was right near there. We passed it all the time. But yeah, it's a little chapel inside the gardens, and super small, quaint, but very kind of like Nicholas Sparks-esque.
Yeah.
And so we're getting married in there. It only holds 100 people inside, but there's overflow seating outside. That's been the tricky part.
You've got these people peeking in the window watching.
Exactly. So, but it's going to be perfect. Everybody that we love is going to be there, and I mean, there's so many other people we love as well that we wished we could be there too.
Well, and anybody who's been through it, they get it. They know, it didn't have anything to do. It's hard.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you're going to be surrounded by friends and family, and you guys are going to be married, and I'm going to be like in therapy. And
No, it's going to be the best. You're gaining a daughter.
That's right. I'm gaining a daughter. I'm not losing a son. I'm not losing
That's
a
what my
son.
mom keeps saying. She's like, I'm not losing a daughter. We're gaining a son.
Yeah. Well, and I was thinking about that earlier today. That's one of the things that I think makes this journey like easier. I mean, I've had some friends who've, particularly mothers of boys whose sons got married. They're like, I'm not gonna lie, it's not easy.
Yeah.
I've had people recommend that we leave straight from like when y'all leave for your honeymoon, that like we need to go somewhere.
On a trip.
Yeah, to like distract, because it can be difficult or what, like just processing like oh my gosh.
Yeah,
but
I can't imagine the emotion and all the things.
Yeah, and the other thing I think you're just it's more about the passage of time and that stage of parenthood and raising and all of that. We talked about this one time, but Connor was over here and he was sick recently, and we were both babying him or whatever, but like I went and got him his medicine to bring him, and I remember like I had to kind of step in the laundry room because I got teary thinking, oh my gosh, it's not going to be me measuring out the Dimetap to give him when he's got the cold and flu. Like Leah will do that. And, I remember Thomas Rhett's mom, that very first episode we did, she's like, it's so hard. She's like, but it's God's plan.
Yeah.
But it's that being needed.
Yeah.
And I think that's what moms long for.
Yeah.
And it's something, that moms can identify with, in that like I want to be needed. It's why I still love to do his laundry. So but I said y'all probably can't afford a washer and dryer right now, so just bring the laundry over. I'll still do it.
Both of you. Yeah. No, I can't imagine. I'm already nostalgic. I feel like when it comes to different seasons changing, and I can't imagine on top of that being a mom and seeing your kids grow up. And I know my mom's going through that too, with my brother going off to school.
She's got a lot. She's got a brother in the senior year, and then you, and then but I will say for younger moms listening that when you see your kids happy, that it helps so much. And I remember I really, really struggled when Cooper, my oldest, went to college. I was in the bed for like 3 days. I thought I was the together mom. Like, why are y'all so worried? Like, what in the world? It's no big deal. But I just really, really struggled. But then when I saw how happy he was and thriving and loved it, I was like, this is not about me.
Yeah,
and he's doing what he's supposed to be doing, and he's thriving. So I know that it's going to be the same way. And I'm incredibly grateful to have y'all nearby, and, just all the things about that.
Yeah.
So, what are you most looking forward to about being married, other than,
I was about to say, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that on here. No, I'm kidding. I think the thing I'm most excited for is having the same home base as Connor.
Oh.
Because with hectic schedules, with how much he travels right now, trying to juggle whose house are we going to hang out at tonight, and then we both have roommates and all the things, it's hard to get that quality time.
Yeah.
And so I think just even coming home to the same place and waking up and having, even if it's an hour in the morning, just to start the day off will be really sweet.
Okay, I'm going to end the podcast with something that you probably don't even know that I saved, but it's on my phone.
Oh, gosh.
And it is a text. I'm going to put my glasses on so I read it right. It's a text that you sent me that weekend, going back to the beginning of the podcast, from Red Rocks. You were on the plane going back to California. Aww. And you sent me a text that meant so much to me. And I would go back to say, this is probably when I realized, like,
Aww.
Okay, I hope that this works out. So you sent this in August, and I had just put out, actually, I had not put out the first podcast. I did not put it out until a couple months later. But I gave you a preview of it. And it was the episode that I did. If you're listening, it's episode number 1. It is with Thomas's mom, who was so great and so vulnerable. And she talked a lot about mother-in-law, and it's hard when she had to give over some of those responsibilities to Lauren, and how she tells a story where she went and sat in Thomas Rhett's closet and just said, and she started crying, telling it, and she said, I feel like you don't need me anymore, you know, and I'm not a priority in your life. And then that was really, really hard. So you sent me this, and it says, I just listened to your podcast. I'll probably cry here. Here we go. I just listened to your podcast and it was so good. Yes, I'm a little partial, but regardless, I thought it was interesting to listen to, and you sounded great. You have the sweetest voice to listen to. While I was listening, it was on my heart to voice to you that whatever Connor and I continue to be, I'll always highly value you and Connor's relationship. I know how much you love him and only want to encourage y'all's relationship in every aspect. I really like and respect Connor in so many ways, and I know that's a complete reflection of how you and Marty raised him. Your family is so special, and I can't wait to spend more time with you. Is that not the sweetest?
It's true.
But, like, looking back on that, y'all hadn't even said, I love you.
I was about to say, I really like him.
Yeah. Like, that, y'all weren't even, like, to that point. But for you to say those words to me, that you would value, you know, my relationship with him, and that's not typical. You know, I think that it's a relationship people would strive to have. Yeah. But I hope we always have that relationship.
Oh, yeah, me too.
I'm going to cry. But you are really special, just like I knew the first weekend that I met you, and I'm really excited.
I know. I'm really excited too.
I think God's giving me a gift that I couldn't, once again, more than you can ask or imagine, just like in Scripture. So.
No, I agree. And I'm just so thankful for you and your heart for Connor and me. And there's like a few moments too that stick out where I've just even seen your heart to like want to build a relationship with me specifically too, of like, of course, me and Connor and you and Connor and all the things, but just specific to us. And I feel so safe and comfortable with you. So that's sweet to be able to have that. And I'm excited to be a big champion of this podcast and all the things.
You've been supportive.
Along for the ride.
Yes. Okay, now people can quit DMing me. When are you having Leah on? We want to hear like their love story. We really didn't get into how y'all met, but you met in California. God opened some doors that were crazy. Connor missed a flight. He ended up back at church.
Yeah. There are crazy stories, so maybe that can be for a later time.
Yeah, we'll talk about that another time. However, God has put y'all together, and it's going to be a beautiful thing. All right, thanks for listening, everybody.
Bye.
Okay, I don't know when you are actually listening to this episode, but if you listen to it the day it dropped, it just hit me that this wedding is less than 2 months away. Ooh, there's a lot to be done. I'm so happy for these two. And confession, I want you guys to know that I did worry a lot about what this stage of motherhood would be like for my boys. And if you're a few seasons behind me and you find yourself in that boat, just hang on. There is still so much more to look forward to as a mama, and I promise you that each season is special.